Okay, so have you ever found yourself just stuck, in those moments where you just react?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you blurt something out and instantly regret it, or you feel like totally overwhelmed by anger or stress and it just kind of takes over.
Definitely. Or you act on impulse, and then later you're thinking, why on earth did I do that?
Exactly. If any of that sounds familiar, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're going to explore why those automatic, sometimes really unhelpful reactions keep you feeling stuck.
Right. And crucially, how creating just a simple space, like a moment of pause,
Just a breath?
can be this surprising key to unlocking, real personal growth and freedom, really.
That feeling of being hijacked by your own impulses.
Yeah.
It's so common, isn't it? But maybe it doesn't have to define you.
That's the hope. So today we're taking a deep dive into what we're calling the power of pause. We're pulling insights from psychology, a bit of neuroscience, and some really practical strategies you can actually use.
And we've got this guiding idea, this quote from Viktor Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom."
It sounds profound, and it is.
Yeah, but what does it actually mean? Like in our messy day-to-day lives?
That's exactly what we want to unpack today.
Yeah.
What is this space Frankel talks about? Why does it often feel, well, non-existent when things get heated?
Right. Like it just vanishes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most importantly, how can you consciously build and use that space? We want to show you how to build that pause muscle, basically.
The pause muscle. I like that.
Yeah, so you can shift from just reacting automatically to responding thoughtfully, intentionally, no matter what life throws at you.
Okay. Let's get into this reactive trap then,
Good.
because we all do it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That frustrating email pops up.
Yep.
Bam. You fire off a reply without thinking,
Or someone said something that just pushes your button.
and you snap back.
Yeah.
Instantly. Or you feel under pressure and you just freeze.
Yeah. It feels completely automatic, doesn't it? Like there was zero gap.
Yeah.
No choice in that moment. Why are we, wired like that?
It seems so ingrained.
It is, deeply. So when something happens that's the stimulus and your immediate response is just raw emotion, like anger or fear, or maybe an old habit just kicks in,
Uh-huh.
you effectively just shrink Frankel's space down to nothing. It feels like the situation itself is dictating your behavior.
So you're not choosing, you're just being pulled along.
Pretty much. It's driven by instinct, maybe past experiences, or just unchecked feelings, not conscious choice.
So it's like the outside event triggers something inside and you're just, boom, along for the ride. The brain doesn't even get a chance to process properly.
Often, yeah, especially right at first. We can look at this through the lens of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
Okay.
CBT has this core idea.
Yeah.
It's not usually the event itself that dictates how you feel and act, but your thoughts about the event. There's this chain reaction.
All right. The situation, thoughts, feelings, behavior model.
Exactly. So let's say the situation is someone gives you a quick look, maybe seems a bit unfriendly.
Okay. Just a glance. Situation.
Your immediate, unexamined thought might be, oh, they disapprove of me, or even they hate me thought.
Which instantly makes you feel kind of hurt or maybe defensive or angry.
Right. And then because there's no pause, that feeling directly drives your behavior. Maybe you clam up or you snap back defensively behavior.
Ah, okay. And that whole chain, thought, feeling, behavior, that can happen in like a split second.
Milliseconds, yeah.
And that initial thought, they hate me, it might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But because you didn't pause to check it.
It runs the whole show.
Exactly.
The pause is where you can insert that awareness.
Yeah.
CBT helps you pause and ask, hang on, is that thought actually true? Is there another way to see this?
Like maybe they're just having a bad day.
Precisely. If you pause and consider that, maybe they've got bad news. Your feeling might shift to empathy or even just neutrality instead of anger.
And that one small pause, it changes the feeling, which then changes how you might respond.
Completely. That's Frankel's space in action, viewed through CBT. It shows that even when it feels instantaneous, there's always that potential for choice, for inserting a different thought.
But our automatic reactions feel so powerful sometimes, don't they? Like they're protecting us or getting something out.
They do feel powerful, but often they're working against our long-term interests. They're fueled by old habits or just intense emotion.
Whereas a response.
An intentional response comes from your more developed self,
Mm-hmm.
your values, your goals. Reacting just keeps you stuck in loops, repeating the same old patterns. Responding is how you actually break free and grow.
And this reactive trap isn't just in our heads, right? There's some serious brain science involved, the amygdala hijack.
Absolutely. This is fascinating. So when your brain perceives stress or a threat, and that could be real danger or just, a critical email or a looming deadline.
Yeah, the definition of threat is pretty broad these days.
Right. This tiny part of your brain, the amygdala, it basically sounds the alarm. Danger, alert.
And that kicks off the whole stress response, fight or flight.
Exactly. Adrenaline, cortisol start pumping, heart races, breathing gets shallow and fast. Your body's getting ready for immediate action. Run, fight, or freeze.
Okay.
But here's the crucial bit. This intense activation can actually temporarily dampen the activity in your prefrontal cortex.
Which is the
Yeah.
thinking part, the rational bit.
That's the one. Responsible for planning, impulse control, rational thought. So your emotional, survival-focused brain essentially grabs the steering wheel from your thinking, logical brain.
That's the hijack.
That's the amygdala hijack Daniel Goleman wrote about. You get overwhelmed by the emotion, your ability to think clearly just plummets.
Which explains why we say things we instantly regret or act totally out of character under stress.
Precisely. You're operating from a more primitive, survival-oriented place, not your wisest self.
And you mentioned earlier how this whole cycle, this reactivity, really stunts personal growth. How does it actually block us from evolving?
Well, think about it. Reactive behavior keeps you locked firmly inside your current comfort zone, even if that zone isn't actually comfortable.
Huh, right. The uncomfortable comfort zone.
Exactly. Reactivity is your brain clinging to what's familiar. So if your default reaction to criticism is getting defensive,
You shut down.
you shut down any chance to learn or improve from that feedback. You just keep repeating that deflection pattern. Growth often requires feeling uncomfortable, being vulnerable, pausing to actually hear something difficult.
Which you just can't do if you're mid-hijack.
Not effectively, no. Reacting is often about getting immediate short-term relief. Yelling releases tension for a second. Avoiding that tough conversation feels safer right now.
But it undermines the long game.
Totally. It keeps you feeling like things are just happening to you. This situation made me react this way. There's no sense of agency, no accountability, and less chance to actually learn from what happened.
Plus the guilt or embarrassment that often comes later.
Right. Once the stress chemicals fade and your rational brain comes back online, you see the mess. Choosing to respond, though, that's an active choice.
It's taking ownership.
Yes. Okay, this happened, and I chose to pause and then act based on my goals or values. That shift from feeling controlled by the event to feeling in control of your response is huge for growth and emotional intelligence.
So reacting is the autopilot driven by emotion or habit. Responding is taking the controls.
Beautifully put. Reacting keeps you stuck. Responding lets you forge a new path.
Okay, so it really sounds like the whole game, if you want growth and freedom, is about reclaiming that space Frankl mentioned, expanding that tiny gap between stimulus and response.
That is absolutely the core idea. That pause, even if it's super brief,
Yeah.
it's where you get back the power to choose, to act based on your values, your goals, not just knee-jerk instinct or old habits.
And one of the best tools we have for expanding that space, backed by a lot of evidence, is mindfulness.
Absolutely. Mindfulness, which is really just paying attention on purpose to the present moment, without judgment, it trains you to notice what's happening inside you. Your thoughts, your feelings, those body sensations, before you automatically act on them.
So you're practicing being in that space between stimulus and response.
Exactly. You're learning to observe the urge without immediately obeying it.
I like how practical some mindfulness tools can be, like the DBT S-P skill. That seems designed for these exact high-stress moments.
It's incredibly useful and thankfully easy to remember. S-P is just an acronym for a sequence you can run through when you feel that reactive urge rising.
Okay, break it down. S is for.
S is for stop. Simple as that. Freeze. Halt whatever you're about to do or say. Just interrupt the automatic pilot.
Okay, stop. Then T.
T is for take a breath. One slow, deep breath. It helps anchor you in your body and starts to signal calm to your nervous system.
Makes sense.
O is for observe. Notice what's actually happening. Inside you, what feelings, what thoughts are racing, and outside, what's the situation. Just observe it without immediately judging it or needing to fix it.
Did you see it clearly?
Yeah. And finally, P is for observing. Proceed mindfully. Now choose your next step deliberately. What action will actually serve you and the situation best? considering your values and goals.
So each step is like actively pumping the brakes on that automatic reaction.
Exactly. It gives your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, a chance to catch up and help you make a wiser choice, avoiding that full-blown hijack. And the science behind why this works, even with a short pause, is really cool.
Yeah, this is where it gets super interesting for me. How does pausing literally change what's happening in our brain and body?
Okay, so remember that amygdala hijack and the stress chemicals. Adrenaline, cortisol, racing heart.
Yep.
Well, Dr. Jill Bolt-Taylor, she's a neuroanatomist, talks about the 90-second rule. She found that the actual physiological lifespan of the chemicals driving an emotional response, like that surge of anger or fear, is only about 90 seconds.
Wait, only 90 seconds for the raw chemical reaction.
For the initial chemical surge to move through your body, yes. Now, if you're still feeling intensely angry or scared after 90 seconds,
You're doing it to yourself.
you're likely re-triggering the response with your thoughts. The stories you're looping on in your head are keeping the chemical reaction going.
Wow. So if you can just ride out that first minute and a half,
Yeah.
maybe by doing nothing, just pausing.
The most intense part of the biochemical storm actually passes on its own. Just pausing prevents you from getting swept away by that powerful but ultimately short-lived initial biological wave. The urge to scream or run might lessen, giving your rational brain a chance to come back online.
And the simple act of taking a deep breath, like in the S-P skill, that actually does something physiological too.
Oh, absolutely. Deep, slow breathing directly stimulates the vagus nerve, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the rest and digest system, right? The opposite of fight or flight.
Exactly. It sends a signal throughout your body saying, essentially, okay, the immediate danger has passed. You can calm down now. It helps lower your heart rate, slow your breathing, and physically counteract the stress response.
It's like hitting a physiological reset button.
Pretty much. And here's the really empowering part. Doing this regularly, practicing pausing, practicing mindfulness, doesn't just help you in the moment. It actually changes your brain structure over time.
Seriously, how?
Yeah, research using brain scans, like fMRI, shows that consistent mindfulness practice can lead to increased gray matter density, basically. More brain cells and connections in areas crucial for attention control, emotional regulation, and self-awareness.
So the very parts of your brain that help you pause and think clearly get stronger, like working out a muscle.
Exactly like that. And get this, studies also show it can actually reduce the size and reactivity of the amygdala itself over time.
So you become less prone to the hijack in the first place.
Yes. You're essentially rewiring your brain to be less reactive, less jumpy, and better equipped to access your calm, rational self when things get tough. You're building stronger pathways for intentional response.
That connects perfectly with this idea of emotional agility, doesn't it? Being able to handle your emotions without letting them dictate everything.
It really does. A huge part of using that pause, that space, is being able to simply notice and name what you're feeling. Psychologist Susan David talks a lot about this.
So in the pause, you'd say to yourself,
Something like, okay, wow, I'm feeling really frustrated right now, or I notice a lot of anxiety in my chest. Just labeling the emotion non-judgmentally creates a bit of distance.
it's not you, it's something you're feeling.
Exactly. It stops the emotion from completely overwhelming you. It becomes information. And from that slightly distanced place, you can then choose how to act with the feeling, rather than being driven by it. You can feel angry and still choose not to yell.
Okay, this is all incredibly compelling. We get the trap, the brain science, the power of the pause. But practically speaking, how do you actually build this muscle? What are the concrete things listeners can start doing, especially when every fiber of their being just wants to react?
Yeah, it definitely feels like building a muscle. It takes consistent practice, reps, but the payoff is enormous. And the strategies we've looked at give you really practical ways to train your brain and body to create that crucial space.
All right, let's dive into these tactics. Mindful breathing was high on the list.
It's probably your most accessible tool anytime, anywhere. Feeling that pressure rise, that irritation building. Just stop for a second. Take a slow breath in, maybe for a count of 4. Hold it gently for 4. Then exhale slowly, maybe for 6 or even 8 counts.
That 4-4-6 or 4-4-8 count.
Yeah, or even just thinking, inhale calm, exhale stress. That simple act starts calming your nervous system immediately, breaks the stress cycle, brings you back to the present.
And nobody even has to know you're doing it. Mid-meeting, waiting in line.
Totally discreet. It sends that signal. Deactivate amygdala, engage prefrontal cortex. Even just for a few seconds, it helps.
What about that old classic, just count to 10? Is there real value there?
Huge value. Counting to 10 or even just taking a deliberate 5 or 10-second pause before responding is a powerful micropause.
Just stopping yourself.
Exactly. If you're about to fire off that email, say something sharp, just stop. Count. Breathe. If you can, maybe even excuse yourself for 60 seconds, step outside, get some water. It gives that initial 90-second chemical surge a chance to peak and fall without you pouring gasoline on the fire by reacting instantly.
It stops you acting purely on that temporary biological impulse.
Right. And that STIP acronym we talked about, stop, take a breath, observe, proceed mindfully, is a great structure for a slightly longer micropause. Just remembering STOP can interrupt the pattern. The key is practicing these little pauses even when you're not stressed, so the habit is there when you need it.
And then during the pause, actively engaging the thinking brain with reflective questioning. That seems key too.
Oh, vital for shifting from just reacting to actually responding. So you've paused, you're breathing. Now ask yourself some simple, powerful questions like, what's my actual goal here? Is what I'm about to say or do going to help me reach that goal, or will it make things worse?
That immediately shifts your focus, doesn't it? From the raw emotion to the outcome you want.
It does. Other good ones are, what am I really feeling underneath this surface reaction? Is the anger maybe masking disappointment or fear? Or what's the story I'm telling myself about what just happened?
Like with the frowning friend example, checking your interpretation.
Exactly. Asking these questions forces your prefrontal cortex back into action.
Yeah.
It gets you problem solving and reflecting instead of just impulsively acting.
Journaling also came up, especially maybe after the fact, to process and learn.
Yeah, writing things down after a difficult interaction is incredibly helpful. It helps you process the emotions in a healthy way, which calms the system down, and it gives you huge insight. Ask yourself, what was the trigger? What thoughts popped up? How did I feel? How did I react? What was the result? What could I do differently next time?
It builds that self-awareness muscle too.
Absolutely. Over time, you start seeing your patterns. Okay, when this happens, I tend to react that way. Knowing your triggers is half the battle. You can even journal in the moment, type out an angry note on your phone you never send, just to get it out before you craft a calm response. It builds regulation and understanding.
And then for building the overall capacity, the underlying strength, there's regular mindfulness meditation practice.
Yeah, this is really foundational. If you can commit to it, even just 5 or 10 minutes a day makes a difference over time. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind. It's about noticing when your mind wanders, which it will, constantly, gently, non-judgmentally, bringing your attention back, usually to your breath.
So every time you bring your attention back,
That's a rep. It's practice for noticing you've been carried away by a thought or feeling and choosing to come back to the present. It's literally rehearsing the pause.
and that's what leads to those long-term brain changes we talked about. Stronger self-control circuits, calmer amygdala.
Exactly. If formal sitting meditation isn't your thing, mindful movement like yoga or Tai Chi, or even just going for a mindful walk, paying attention to the sights, sounds, sensations can offer similar benefits. Consistency is the key. Whatever form it takes, it raises your baseline awareness.
I also like the idea of using pause cues, physical or environmental reminders.
Yeah, creating little pause cues is a great practical tip. Put a sticky note on your monitor that just says, breathe or pause. Wear a certain ring or bracelet as a reminder. Set a recurring reminder on your phone.
Or using everyday moments.
Perfect. Use transitions as triggers. Phone rings. Take one breath before answering. Get a text. Pause before replying. Waiting at a red light. Take 3 conscious breaths. These are low-stakes moments, but they build the habit of pausing into your day, making it feel more natural when a big trigger hits.
And finally, deliberately practicing in low-stakes situations.
Yes. Don't wait for a 5-alarm fire to try these things out. Practice pausing when the stakes are low. The barista gets your coffee order wrong, someone bumps into you, get some minor annoying feedback.
If you have a flash of irritation,
Notice it. Notice the impulse to snap or complain loudly, then deliberately choose differently. Maybe just let it go. Maybe calmly state your preference without the charge of anger.
it's like training wheels.
Exactly. You're building your tolerance for minor discomforts and teaching your brain, hey, we don't need to go into full meltdown for every little thing. We have options. It expands your window of tolerance for stress. All these strategies just keep reinforcing that core skill. Create space, reclaim choice. Consistency ties it all together. It's not about never feeling angry or stressed. It's about learning to handle those feelings constructively.
So pulling this all together then, the power of pause.
Yeah,
It's not about being passive or weak at all, is it? It sounds like an active, really powerful skill.
it truly is. I think it's an underestimated superpower. in our reactive, always-on world. Taking that moment to breathe, observe, question, just not react instantly, that isn't weakness. It's a fundamental act of emotional strength, wisdom, really.
It creates the space for growth. Back to Frankl.
Back to Frankl,
Amen.
and confirmed by modern science. It allows your rational mind, your deeper values, your long-term goals to catch up with that immediate, powerful emotional wave.
So you get to choose principles over impulses.
And that is the shift from being a passenger in your life to being the pilot, living reactively, just letting impulse or old habits drive your actions. It's like being on autopilot and wondering why you keep ending up in the same frustrating places.
If you want a different destination, you got to take the wheel.
You got to turn off the autopilot and consciously choose your response. That's how you chart a new course. That's growth. That's freedom.
And it absolutely takes practice. You will slip up. We all do.
For sure. And that's okay. The key is seeing every situation, every conflict, every challenge, every annoying email, not just as a problem, but as an opportunity.
An opportunity to practice the pause.
Exactly. An opportunity to choose your response.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? Just remember Viktor Frankl's insight. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is that space. And by choosing to pause, to use that space to respond instead of just reacting, you become the author of your response.
And ultimately, the author of your life. That's truly where growth happens. One intentional choice, one conscious pause at a time.
Remember the space. Remember your breath. Remember you have a choice.